Hello, it's Nick Briggs here. I'm recording this the day before the first studio session for The Prisoner. Really just as a record of my state of mind. Just beforehand, this has been quite a long journey for me. From all my talks with ITV, going back 5 years or so, and finally getting to this moment where the first two scripts are finished and ready. The third script is almost ready, and the fourth script is underway. And tomorrow we're recording the first one. That's Wednesday, the 1st of July.
It's a little bit for level, please, so just have a go of that.
Yeah. Now you want a kind of semi-metallic Magooan delivery, if possible, right? Okay.
But from the heart.
Obviously.
This is your first morning doing number 6.
That's
Tell us
right.
something about it.
Well, it's not a little intimidating.
Hilarious, aren't I?
Obviously, because it's a highly defined and distinctive part, given that there are so few episodes of the original, and it is a part that is incredibly associated with Magoon. So it's difficult to know how to pitch it, difficult to know where to play it.
Really looking forward to seeing how Mark Elstob plays number 6. I've got a pretty good idea. We've had conversations about it, so I hope it all comes together to the satisfaction of both of us.
Nice bit of work she is, Sir Lotus.
Thank you.
Handle well, does she?
Don't overdo it, Cobb.
Well, anyway, just to let you know, we're just arriving now.
Much obliged.
Don't forget to drive on the wrong side of the road, sir.
I won't.
Good. Mark, very nice. That's just what we want. I think the key is with Cobb here is that he's acting it for anyone else around to see that he's just a normal ferryman. So he's having a conversation with him going, nice car and everything, and he's going,
Right, yes, yeah.
and Mark's giving it the f off. Don't do the play acting with me. And I think he really scares you because, he's probably punched you a few times in the past.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's probably said, Cobb, come here.
Yeah.
Don't do it again.
Yes.
And at the end, if you could really call after him, don't forget to drive on the wrong side of the road, sir. I'm just being jolly. And the I won't is a real off.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's quite noisy on this ferry as well. I don't think that really affects number 6. But yeah, when he looks up over his newspaper, it's like the look of death at you.
I don't think I've ever heard any notes like this before.
Yes. That's me, I'm afraid. Okay, I'm ready. And also Sarah Powell, who's playing number 9, largely a character created by me based on certain elements in the original series. I just had a phone conversation with her today about how she's going to tackle it, and I suggested, since on Spotlight it said she could do a Caribbean accent and she's a black actress, I wonder whether she should do it like that. And I was a little worried about suggesting it in case she just thought it was a daft idea and it wasn't something she wanted to do. But she just laughed and she said, I can't believe you've said that. But she said, that's exactly what I thought when I first read it. So I'm really pleased.
You're just going to say things that make me laugh.
Well, hopefully.
That's good. I'm Sarah Powell and I'm playing number 9.
Beautiful day.
Bit chilly.
It's early. It'll warm up.
Will it?
I have worked with Big Finish before. I've done, I think, a Blake 7 and Doctor Who or something, and a couple of others, I think. And then my agent rang and said, there's some scripts coming, will you have a look at them? And what do you think? And I rang back and went, they're hilarious and extraordinary. And please, sign me up if anyone will have me.
Had you ever encountered The Prisoner before?
Never. No. I mean, I've heard of it because it's a name, isn't it? It's an iconic thing, but I don't know anything about it, no. So then I spoke to the director who told me a bit about it, and that made me laugh again.
We had a conversation about the accent you were going to do.
Well, it's in the script. It says she's not giving anything away, or she has something that she's not saying, or something to hide. And the West Indian accent seemed to make sense to me because she would have a reason for being there, but we might not know necessarily what that reason is. And it actually could be anything, and it's quite mysterious in itself. Well, why is this person here? It's very, she could be from Caribbean's a big place. Anywhere, she could be from anywhere in the Caribbean and could have any reason at all for being there. And what could that reason be? And then it seems to me that if you were listening to it, if I was listening to it, because I listen to loads of audiobooks I do with my kids, if you're listening to it, you fill in all sorts of a story, and the listener can just fill in anything, many times more imaginative than any one person could come up with. So they can fill in any reason for her being there, and that adds to the mystery for each person who listens to it. It makes it slightly different for each person, and I hope a bit exciting.
And if you won't get out, I will.
No, don't go, please.
Give me one good reason to stay.
Why, I thought we could be friends. I thought...
I mean, I love doing this. The imaginative act of jumping in and playing is fantastic. And so, Mark has been in all day, and we've just been coming in and doing bits with him.
Have a beautiful day, won't you? A bloody beautiful bloody day! You miserable git.
Sorry, I was just going.
I'm doing what I always do, which is launch myself at it and trust that greater powers than my own will instruct me if I go wrong, which is, I guess what any actor does, don't they?
There may be scattered showers later.
I won't be long.
Yeah, all right.
I won't be long. But then when she hears the car go, she thinks, "Oh, what? What do you say?"
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what the line is, but
Yeah,
I'm not.
It's just confusion, noises of confusion.
Yeah.
Words of confusion. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the intimate stuff, you need to get really nice and close to the mic. Is it? Yeah. So that we can feel your breath on our cheeks.
Yeah, I'd be dead without my glasses.
I should put my glasses on.
You haven't got your glasses.
We can't do intimate with glasses.
Not with specs on. Specky intimate, that's really hard.
And I presume you'll be kissing your hand, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Just in case. I know what Mark's like. Any little bits of breath you want to get in? A gaspy stuff. It's always nice for intimacy, hearing a bit of...
Right. Okay. Do that. So what was that, Nick? Sorry, do that.
Sorry. Oh dear.
So, just one thing though, Nick. The mention of the word Seltzman breaks the mood completely. You have to come with me. As in, where she... what is that? I just don't understand. Is she taking it... Is she... As in safety, you have to come with me.
That's how she's trying to make it sound.
Okay.
But he knows that can't possibly be true.
Right.
Sorry, did I keep my finger on the button the whole time then?
Yeah.
I'm having trouble with the button.
But the tone right? The tone is right.
The tone is perfect.
Right.
Really, really, really happy. Now, can you tell, as if I didn't know, how it all came about, you doing this?
I can. I worked with you 25 years ago, long time ago. Yes, very long time ago. And we discovered we had shared interests.
He's an old acquaintance of mine. I worked with him on the Brideshead Revisited tour back in 1995, I think. And we were never great friends, but we always had something in common because we were Doctor Who fans, and Doctor Who fans can always talk about Doctor Who.
Since that time, you have gone on to fame and fortune, and founding Big Finish and all the rest of it. And we bumped into each other about a year ago, and I made a shameless pitch for work, like any actor would. And you nodded kindly and took my number, and then I never heard from you again. And I thought, yes, that's par for the course.
And that's why I was led to inquire whether he'd be interested in playing number 6, because I thought, well, if he's interested in that kind of thing, I bet he's interested in The Prisoner as well, and I couldn't have been more right, just by chance, which was lucky.
Miracle of miracles, you emailed me out of the blue and said, how do you feel about The Prisoner? And The Prisoner is a favourite show of mine, and has been for very many years. I'm not sure you knew that, but you said you sort of had a feeling that I might be right for that, and I couldn't have felt more blessed when I heard from you. And I think I wrote back to you and sort of said, yes, of course, I'd love to work for Big Finish. What do you mean? You mean sort of playing, what, taxi drivers and assorted passers-by? You said, no, you said number 6. To which, of course, I replied, hell yes, of course I'd like to do it. Who wouldn't?
What about the experience of doing it here today? Anything to say about that?
It's a very hot day, so it's nice to be inside.
It was the hottest day, hottest July day on record. 36 degrees, I believe.
Makes a change. It's so hot outside.
So even though our spiritual home, as it were, for Big Finish is at the Moat Studios with our great colleague and friend Toby Robinson, we were actually recording this one at the Sound House, which is in another place in London, and it's a studio we've used for just a few productions. The Moat is a lovely place where we have so much fun, and it's very cosy and nice for us, and we're very used to it. The Sound House is a bit more of a kind of state-of-the-art facility with quite a few studios in it. I think 4 largish studios, so it could do 4 full cast radio productions all at once. And indeed it was doing that while we were there on Wednesday. So the whole place was absolutely packed outside of our studio and control room. But the thing about it being kind of state-of-the-art, I mean, I compare the two studios thus, and I love them both for different reasons. The Moat is like sort of working in, relaxing in a very familiar living room with a very nice, familiar settee to sit on, whereas the Sound House is a bit like being on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. It's all very smooth, clean surfaces and has some fearsome air conditioning. There's a little bit of air conditioning at the Moat, but at the Sound House, it's industrial strength. So just by chance, we happened to be in exactly the right place, considering it was the hottest July day since records in this country began of how hot places can be. So, phew. That's all I can say about that.
I know I shouldn't ask.
But you're going to?
Seltzman.
You mustn't ask.
What can you...
What's happening? What is this? What are you?
Very good. I wonder whether we need you, Sarah, to, after the kiss, we need you to make a little vocal... something like that.
I'm like kissing him to stop him talking about it, really.
Yes.
Am I?
Oh.
You mustn't ask and just like launch at him.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, how do you do that? Yeah.
I don't know how
So it
you
has
do
to be
that.
that sort of...
That works.
It's sort
that
of
sounds
a thought of
yeah,
that.
yeah.
How do you do it, though? Do you do... You mustn't ask. Yeah, actually, that's good.
Just kiss me, for God's sake. It may already be too late.
Too late for what?
The sound of the band will be masking our voices from their microphones. The cymbal clashes play havoc with their frequency filters, but...
Impressive. You have it all worked out, don't you?
Well, are you going to...
Ladies and gentlemen, we shall now take a short interlude, after which we shall return to continue our music for your pleasure.
So it's like coming in and just jump. You could just get to dive in the pool with somebody who's already really splashing about, and it's just so much fun and such a release to do that. To just get to do it is really, it's, you know, for an actor it's you know, it's great fun. Trying to kiss Mark was a joy. I've never actually had to kiss anyone. Sound kissing. Anyway, I've never done sound kissing. I don't even know what that sentence sounds like, but I've never done sound kissing, and that was quite something to try. Mark seemed fine. I was the only one who was a bit perplexed.
Can you describe the process of that, the strange sound kissing?
Of sound kissing? Mark is very animatedly kissing his own hand. Seemed to be enjoying that very much, and I didn't want to, disturb that. But then I realised I have to kiss some part of me, because then otherwise it doesn't sound like we're kissing each other. It sounds like I'm chatting. I don't know what it sounded like. Anyway, it wasn't sounding right. It wasn't sounding right. So we worked out that I have to kiss my hand and Mark has to kiss Mark's hand, and then somehow spontaneously we have to know when to both stop kissing and sound as if it was fun. It's an extremely bizarre thing to try and do. Yes. I'll try it again, because really kissing your own hand in sync at the same time with someone else is quite funny.
Any other highlights of the day?
John Standing's a highlight. He was a highlight. He's full of great stories.
I tell you what I've got to do, which is completely irritating, is to have a very quick slash.
Absolutely, do it. You can have a long one if you like.
I'm really sorry.
John Standing was outstanding as number 2. He's such a lovely man. It's so brilliant to work with an actor who's been around for so long and has so many incredible experiences and drops the names of, phenomenally famous people into the conversation. People, he's either worked with or socialised with. He knows virtually every famous actor, and a lot of them are his friends. He suddenly revealed that he'd worked with Patrick McGowan and liked him. Are you familiar with the original Prisoner series?
Yeah. I remember it really well, but I remember because I knew Patrick and I'd done a gig with him, and it was his passion. It was his real passion, and he wrote it all and did everything and directed it, and presumably I think he chose the Welsh locations at Portmeirion.
Did Patrick McGowan, when you worked with him, did he ever speak of The Prisoner then?
No. He spoke about his holidays. He told me, he's fascinating actually, he told me about, and I said, what do you do, Patrick? Because Patrick was a one-off, he really was, this immensely powerful, handsome man, and I said, well, what do you do? He said, I take my family. And I said, what's that? My wife and 2 small children. And I said, what do you do? He said, well, I go to Greece, I go to Athens, and then I go to the port there, and I get on a boat. I said, what kind of a boat? He said, if there's a sailing boat. But do you not rent it or talk about it? Or no, he said, I just get on the first boat that's going out into the Med or the Adriatic or where the hell all those Greek islands are. And I said, and he said, and I get some old sailor to sail it, and we all get onto this boat, and it goes wherever it goes. I said, it's a fantastically kind of enterprising, wild thing to do. And then he went and lived in Hollywood, and not nearly enough happened to him. I thought he'd be a Hollywood leading man, to be honest with you. But it never really clicked.
Quite incredible, and brought such charm and gravitas to the part, and was such a pleasure to work with, actually. Just kept thanking me and being lovely, and not that I expected him to be horrible at all, but, when someone's been in the business for a long, long time, you feel that they might have some justification in maybe not suffering perceived fools gladly, and if I were to put a foot wrong, maybe they would be justified in being a little bit testy with me or something. But no, he was exceptionally delightful, actually.
There you see, all's well. First aid jitters, nothing more than that. He'll get the hang of it. He's just in a bit of a tiz, that's all.
Shall I put that in the report, sir? A bit of a tiz?
Don't phone me again unless you have something relevant to report. Thank you.
What about your experience of playing number 2 in this?
My experience is it's thoroughly joyful. I love doing it. I was just thinking, did I play number 2 before? What are your experiences? Well, I've only experienced it this morning, and I enjoy it immensely, I tell you, because you've written it really beautifully, because everything flows, and you can always tell with bad writing there's a kind of hiccup. But it's wonderful. It's wonderful writing. Really, I'm not just giving you, blowing smoke, which is the most disgusting expression that my daughter used on me the other day, who's an actress. She said, Dad, I don't ever want you to blow smoke up my arse. I said, you are ridiculous. I said, I wouldn't dream of doing anything like that. Anyway.
Would you venture an opinion on our new number 6, Mark?
Oh, he's brilliant. No question. He is really, really good. You feel it's a very powerful, well, it is obviously a handsome, strong man. And he's all of that. He's genuinely terrific, I think.
Yes, I'm a dangerous man. I'll break your bloody arm, so get out of the car.
And he must have, I think he's done a lot of research and looked it up and done all that and looked at the programmes, and he's really, really good. It'll come zooming across on the air too. Good acting like that, quality acting like that. You get yourself involved on the radio. I love listening to the radio. I think it's amazing. And I listen to the kind of, midweek plays and things like that sometimes. And it's very good. All my friends are archers, crazy people like Eileen Atkinson and Judi Dench. They are the only thing that matters in their lives. It's the follow-up of the Archers. I mean, that's the big deal. Not the telly, none of that. It's the Archers.
What do you think is the power of audio and radio drama then?
Yourself. You have the greatest. It's like reading a book. A book is always better than the movie because your own conception of what you're actually reading is fantastic. You can go up into the stars, whereas if you actually see it, it's generally more mundane.
And your number 2 there's a new number 2 for every episode, but you don't get killed or anything. Do you think there's any mileage in you coming back?
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to. I really, really enjoy it. I mean that. I mean, I absolutely love it.
You really will be the death of me, number 6. That's the graveyard down there.
So it's been really nice. They're a nice bunch of people who've all got lots of different backgrounds, and so it's been really fun.
It's a busy studio here, isn't it? There are other things going on.
Yes. There's loads of people in, out. I've been staring at people all day going, do I know her from school? And of course she's in some major television series. And she's looking at me like, why are you looking at me? And I want to go up to go, were you at school in, South Eton? And, okay, fine. So yes, everybody's here. Brian Blessed is here and he's fantastic. And yeah, I've seen him do everyone knows Brian Blessed. And there's another chap there from Raiders of the Lost Ark, isn't there, out there?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I forget.
No one knows his name. We just all know he's from Raiders of the Lost Ark. So we're all quite excited.
I think he'd be crushed by that.
And The Hobbit. The Hobbit. The Hobbit. He's not crushed by that. Man's earning a lot of money.
And then, Sarah Powell is just superb. I think we've just done... I suppose it might be controversial because it's not what people expect. But I think having number 9 do a Caribbean accent, I think that just brings something. It brings an international flavour to the production. It just brings something to her character as well. And the lovely thing was that, as I think I mentioned before, that when I spoke to her about it, it's what she was thinking. And, it is part of her natural accent as well, because when you hear her speak normally, you can sort of hear that sort of heritage, as it were, in her voice. You can hear that the accent is there, and which is why it comes so easily to her. And I think she's hit exactly the right notes on the sort of... the emotional side of it. Those scenes between number 6 and number 9 that we've done so far, I just sort of sat back and closed my eyes and listened and just thought, this is exactly what I want. So it's really a pleasing experience for me.
Another number 2. How many are there?
They change over from time to time. A new one gets assigned.
So I just also wanted to say that the other actors on Wednesday were amazing. I had a lovely group of people who I know well and really admire. Barnaby Edwards, Sarah Mowat and Helen Goldwyn. And, I've known them all since the beginning of Big Finish, and in the cases of Barnaby and Sarah, since before Big Finish. And I wanted to get them in because I just wanted to have some brilliant people there who I knew I could absolutely rely on, because there were so many other variables, a new studio for me, a new leading man, and an actor playing, the second lead, Sarah Powell, and number 2, John Standing, who I'd not worked with before. And, you never know until you know that someone's going to be good. Luckily, they were brilliant. But I wanted really to have these calming people around me. And I'm thrilled that Helen Goldwyn is being the village voice for all 4 episodes. And she's amazing. And I love the insanity of her voice. And I encourage it wherever possible. And she's delighted to be encouraged to sound even more insane.
She's definitely getting madder because you're giving me license to be as bonkers as I possibly can be, which I love.
I think the village voice is just going to get more and more mad as the productions go on. Barnaby, brilliant. I particularly liked his one line as the bandstand conductor. I thought that was amazing. It was a favourite of mine. And Sarah giving lovely sensitive stuff in the intimate scenes with number 6 as his fiancée. Yes, and there's an interesting character who may well return in future box sets.
Where am I?
In the village.
What do you want?
Information.
Whose side are you on?
That would be telling. We want information. Information. Information.
You won't get it.
By hook or by crook, we will.
Who are you?
The new number 2.
Who is number 1?
You are number 6.
I am not a number. I am a free man.
Hello, this is Nick Briggs again on Saturday the 4th of July. That clicking sound was me just checking the date on the computer. This is the day before the recording of the second episode of The Prisoner, The Schizoid Man. The thing I'm most happy about, I guess, about the first day's recording is the confirmation that I was right, that Mark Elstob is brilliant, would be brilliant playing number 6, and he's fantastic. I mean, not only is he a very good actor and plays the part exactly right, he has clearly really studied it. I can't actually recall a single stumble in his performance, which is sort of superhuman. Most actors, the best of them will trip up on something, but Mark had... I felt like he'd learnt it. I caught him pacing outside, saying lines to himself. The Prisoner means a lot to him. It's one of his favourite TV shows. And as he said, he just kind of takes a run at things and throws himself in with any part.
I realise that I'm channeling Peter Wyngarde. Delighted to have discovered, because I didn't remember that. So... anyway, he's in the room too.
The only problem is, of course, that tomorrow we only have Celia Imrie for the morning, so I've had to do this crazy schedule, which just really picks up what she does with as much other character activity around her. But there's, it's going to be a difficult morning. I've taken the unprecedented step of sending the schedule for the morning to the other actors. I can't send it to Celia Imrie because I don't have her personal email address, but I didn't want to scare her with those very tight timings. But I've sent it to the other actors to say, I want you all to be in the studio all at once. It's nice and cool in there. Just sit and wait and get up and do your bits with her, and hopefully we'll get it all done.
We are gathered here today in the sight of our beautiful village to bid farewell to a tragic soul, our friend Cobb, who lost his way and fell foul of the powers that be. We therefore commit his body to the sand and the sea, in the sure and certain hope
really lovely,
that his secrets will lie with him, never to be discovered.
That's the one. Thank you.
Well, I'm awfully glad I saw it originally. I remember watching it when I was young. I can't even remember what day of the week it was on, but I remember being very spooked by it, and how brilliant was Patrick McGowan. And I haven't dared ever go to the place. I know it's a real place, isn't it? But it would absolutely freak me out, I think.
What did you think of your particular number 2 in this?
Well, I was told just before we began that the real number 2 was Peter Wyngarde, who I adore and have done for years. So I had the sort of... I was channeling him and hope that will be all right to the fans.
He was one of many number 2s.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
okay.
Leo McKern was
oh,
another
really?
one. Yeah.
Wow.
They were all very different.
So is this the
Mary
first...
Morris as well, there was.
Okay. What a team.
I know. They found whichever fruity, marvellous actor was available.
So I'm fruity and marvellous, am I? Okay.
Is that all right?
Sure thing.
You see, the brilliant thing is that because she's worked for Big Finish before and has really enjoyed it, and I hope I don't mess that up, she's prepared to do this job. She's actually busy tomorrow. She's busy in the afternoon. And most actors, if you ask them to do a job on a day where they were spending the afternoon doing something else, and it is a Sunday after all, they'd say, well, I'm busy that day. I think, in most situations, that's what I'd say. I'm busy that day. I'm not going to be getting up early on a Sunday morning to spend, 3 hours in a studio with some idiot trying to get me to act fast. But I think it's a measure of her affection for Big Finish that she's said, yeah, well, I'll do it in the morning.
I love Big Finish.
So I'm really looking forward to it, but at the same time, I'm, quite scared about getting it wrong or not getting it all done in time. What about the experience of doing it in the studio with the rest of the cast?
Well, I just was impressed about how speedy it all was. In a way, it sort of helps to be so enclosed, because it's got that sort of eeriness, those white walls. I guess when I saw it, it was black and white. So the idea of being in this sort of environment was rather helpful.
Well, I was certainly extremely relieved that everything worked out really well with Celia Imrie. She was great fun and brilliant, and we got it all done in time. So we had a far more relaxing rest of the day. Not that Celia Imrie had brought any tension into the room at all. I think you can tell from listening to some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that it was very relaxed, and we had a lot of laughs, and it was just such a pleasure to work with her.
6. You sure you're all right, number 12? I know it was a long flight on the red eye. Do you want to leave it a day or so before?
No. I'm fine. I'll wait for your team.
Good man. I'll be waiting for you. Spooky, isn't it?
So, number 12 now.
I'm so sorry. I got a bit overexcited. Oh dear. Sorry.
We should just leave that in. Spooky, isn't
it?
So, Celia, when you refer to the previous number 12, of course, that's because he's number 12. So that might change the way you say it.
Ah. He was number 12.
No, he is number 12. Well, he is sort of pretends number 12 now.
To understand.
No, best not. Okay. He's number 12 now.
Wait, that's what you're trying to convince him of.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, we better not get into that.
No. Best for all concerned, I think.
Well, only because I've said you sound just like him, and it's obviously her.
No, you sound just like number 6. Oh.
Oh dear, okay, right. Lord.
Say it like you mean it. I said to Mark Elstob as I approached the studio on the first day, he was just finding his way down into the industrial estate where it was located, and I called out to him, and he looked around, and I said, I'm actually quite nervous. I'm not frightened to admit it, because mostly I'm very confident with directing for Big Finish, because I've been doing it for over 15 years and directing other stuff before that. So I have a baseline of confidence about what I'm doing, but there was something about it being The Prisoner. Yeah, what was that? People said, it's because it's a project close to your heart. But of course, Doctor Who's very close to my heart, and in many ways closer. I would say I'm a Doctor Who fan first. But I suppose it's, because I've sort of sought the rights and negotiated with ITV and made this project happen through sheer bloody mindedness, really. Yeah, so I suppose it is all on my shoulders, really.
Today we've been recording the second episode of the first series, which is the Schizoid Man. And I've been having a marvellous time. I've been playing myself and my own clone.
You really do think you have the winning card up your sleeve?
What's that supposed to mean?
Getting a little jumpy, aren't we?
Hasn't that been a bit weird?
That has been
very strange. Who are you, exactly? Yes, who are you?
The recording process is that when I am having conversations with my clone, and I am playing both parts, I record number 6, and number 12, my clone is recorded in basically another room by Jez, one of the other actors.
The vital part of my role today was filling in for both numbers 6 and 12, in order to allow Mark, who is brilliant, to bounce off someone when they were, when he was in full throttle as either 6 or 12. You need someone to give you, a good crack, and someone to act opposite. And I was that soldier. So I very much enjoyed that.
Wouldn't anyone be if they were suddenly confronted by an imposter pretending to be them?
No.
So that's how you're interpreting the role. I'm afraid I'm made of much sterner stuff, number fake.
All right, that's enough.
And what makes you so sure you've got the right man? And it ended up, well, actually quite from the off almost, that we were basically having a Magooan off.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
I've never had a Magooan off before. And today was a Magooan off,
And
I loved it.
You were level pegging.
No, I think to be honest with you, I never said, but he totally won.
No,
he won. He won the Magooan off. but I was there and I was competing, and it was great. Yeah, it was awesome fun. Doesn't she watch everything I do? Oof! Oh, dear me, not doing very well, are we, number fake?
And then we do the same thing in reverse.
So I just repeat myself over and over again, and he's different people. It's very confusing. If you think, it's just very confusing. But it will all sound very clear, I think, in the final edit. I'm assured it will all come out.
I'm glad you're very certain.
I'm very certain, quite certain.
We have complete faith in our director and writer.
Yeah, that's right.
And producer.
I detected that around about 4 o'clock there was an element of what's the word? Hysteria entering the proceedings.
Just pop your clothes on the back of the chair.
Do you recall any?
I think that kicked in straight after lunch. It just ramped up. So 4 o'clock, we were all gibbering mess. In fact, you were literally a dribbling mess because you were being.
I had to be dissolved into my essential protoplasm. Yes. So yes.
No, look! Get back! No!
It went on for a very long time, and it involved a lot of dribble, a lot of coughing, and it was quite disturbing on many levels. But it did dissolve into.
But hysteria does set in though at about sort of kind of tea time, I guess, on when you've been recording all day, which we have been, and we've done a lot of work, and so the turnover was pretty good. We produced a good day's work, so it makes sense that as the day wears on, we just
that's right.
we start to regress emotionally.
You are in a darkened room with people pulling silly voices, and, for a long time, with only time off to go to the loo and then come straight back.
And hardly ever that.
Yeah, really. Yeah, you have to beg for that. It's only granted very grudgingly.
Did you see what Mark was doing when he was doing the dissolving?
I did.
Did you describe it?
Not very effectively, I think. So there was, it was quite extraordinary, and it went on for a very long time. And his face literally dissolved into itself, and then there was a lot of teeth and a lot of sort of swallowing and spitting and literally dribbling. I
thought he put his hands in his mouth.
Yes, he did. That's right. It was like he was trying to rip out his own tongue at one point, or it was coming out, or his teeth were all coming out in his hands. And he was sort of, yes, that's right. And then he looked like he was trying to put them back in again, but it didn't work. And then eventually he did finally dissolve. You'd think I'm joking. That is what it looked like. It looked like all your teeth were falling out. You were gathering them up and you were shoving them back in. And then your tongue fell out. And then you had to put that back in again. And then your lips fell off.
Let me just spell this out to the listening audience. What's happening is that the rover is destroying me. So I assume that I'm screaming in fear and then pain, and then I can scream no longer because the surface of the rover is covering my mouth, and then it is entering my mouth and dissolving me from the inside. That was my reading of the.
Well, there you go. I was right.
So I tried to get both my hands as far down my throat as I could.
It was quite a vision.
I didn't think it went on that long, to be honest. Everybody seems to think it did, but we'll see.
What about your working relationship? How's that going?
I would say it's going very, very well. Our characters are very close.
Very
Shall
close.
I say that? Very
close.
close.
I think we're very close.
There's an intimacy.
We're very close now.
We are now.
And we're very close. I think the relationship will go on for a long time.
Close.
Yes.
They're touching.
We are. Have been the whole time, actually.
Even when we're not, we are.
Yeah.
And you haven't read, Sarah, you haven't, neither of you have read episode 3.
Have you not read 3?
I haven't seen 3. No, I haven't seen 3.
It just came through. I got it on my phone today.
Oh, right. Well, it must be waiting for me when I get
Will you send a hard copy?
Yes.
Thank you very much. No, I've no idea. What's going? You're
This
looking at me like, I know
this is
what's
our
happening.
your beautiful village. Is that the one? Right. No, I look forward to reading that one then.
Yeah.
Is that an original one, or is it another adaptation of
It's an original one.
It's an original one. Okay. Right.
It's very, yeah. Well,
No, I'm looking forward to
I
it.
wrote it unbiased. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you, Nick. See you in August. Is that right?
Yeah, August,
it's August.
Absolutely, yeah. In a month.
Where am I?
In the village.
What do you want?
Information.
Whose side are you on?
We want information. Information. Information.
You won't get it.
By hook or by crook, we will.
Who are you?
The new number 2.
Who is number 1?
You are number 6.
I am not a number. I am a free man.
Hello, this is me on Sunday the 9th of August 2015, and it is the morning of the recording of episode 3 of The Prisoner. For me, it's odd because it seems like an age since we recorded episode 2, because since then I've been off to Nottingham to direct my adaptation, a stage adaptation of Jekyll and Hyde, which I'm back from now, and also I've been in the middle of writing other projects for Big Finish, such as The War Doctor, which is ongoing at the moment. So it'll be strange stepping back into The Prisoner for me. I'm really looking forward to this one as much as I've looked forward to the others. This is in some ways a simpler one to do because it's just 4 actors, and I think it's the shortest of the scripts. Also, it's odd because I'm in the middle of writing episode 4, which I'm recording on the 30th of this month, and over halfway through and almost completely cast on it as well. I think it's the first time I've cast anything before the script's written. Very odd. So yes, looking forward to seeing Mark again, and Sarah, and Helen, and Ramon, who's playing number 2, who I cast when I was working with him on the Big Finish Doctor Who spin-off series Unit. We were chatting in the green room and he said, I'd love to be in The Prisoner. And I just finished writing this episode and I thought, do you know, I think he'd be really good. He's also a really nice guy, and I always feel it's important, obviously that people are right for the parts, but also that they're brilliant to work with. Anyway, I have to go because otherwise I'll be late getting to the studio.
Oh my goodness, how many pages is this next scene?
The next one's basically 12 pages.
Okay, hold on.
I don't think I'm in this one.
You are?
Am I? Oh.
Okay.
You're probably on the final page or something. Ramon,
yes,
you're playing number 2.
Number 2.
And is that all you're going to say?
That's all I'm going to say. Number 2 is not allowed to say anything. He's a very, very private and secretive person. And what you see of him is not what's the truth at all. So, yes. That's pretty much what number 2's job is.
But this lot have been doing The Prisoner for 2 episodes now, so
right.
you're new here.
I'm a prisoner virgin, yes.
Yeah. Were they welcoming?
They were very welcoming. And what is most amazing, that you're transported straight away into the world, because Mark's version of number 6 is quite mesmerising. And so you're immediately in the world. No acting, no prompting, no, motivation required.
Why did you resign? Get that thing away from her!
It's all right, number 6. It's all right.
What's your recollection of the original Prisoner series on television?
Well, I remember it being full of really psychedelic stuff, because I remember watching it as a 5 or 6-year-old child, and I remember the incredible sense of claustrophobia. That's what I remember. So that I took as a young child. But then when I watched it in the 80s, I sort of tried to understand it in a much more broader political way. And I'm still working that out. So
I am not a number. I am a free man.
I don't know if that's the right one.
It needs to be a bit slower rather than so. I don't know what your laugh is like, though, Ramon. So.
Well, it's not like that. I don't know what that laugh was I just did. That's worse. So you don't want that.
Yes.
Right, hold on. I'll find a laugh.
And could you tell me, as if I didn't know, how you got this part? Do you remember?
Well, a very lovely chap, a producer chap I was working with on another production being done by Big Finish, the unit. He was so impressed by my performance in the booth that almost immediately he grabbed me by the collar and said, "Listen, you really must play number 2 in my next production." And that man is you, Nicholas Briggs, and yes, and I thank him eternally for that.
Oh, I don't remember it that way at all.
That's the way it happened.
Didn't you say in the green room?
I'd really like to play number 2. Can I do something? All right, that's the way it really happened. Are you going to cut that bit out?
Yeah, obviously, yeah. It was quite funny because I contacted your agent, and she said, "Well, I'm just going to check with him." I didn't have the heart to say, "Well, I'm sitting opposite him."
I know, and I told her. I said to her, "I knew about this job before you did, and that's the first,
What about this particular episode? This is an original one, not an adaptation.
Well, this is really interesting because this is almost like the bits you didn't see in the show. It's that completely total darkness is obviously very radio user friendly. So that's a great sort of basis to start from. And I really like the fact that it's almost like you don't have any geography to this. This is precisely what the whole episode's about: lack of geography, and that really works. It's really creepy. Really creepy.
And on that happy note, it's lunch.
Lunch.
Very, very good indeed. Bit of a challenge for you, Mark, isn't it, this one?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, this, isn't it? This is going to be one that's going to be more fun, as Ron was saying, to listen to with your eyes shut.
Yeah.
Because it's... Obviously, they're audio performances. They're all voice only, but somehow this one is so much more dependent on just the voice. And number 6 in this one goes through. He goes through a fair amount in the other episodes, but in this one, yes, he's sort of reduced. He's reduced to nothingness, isn't he?
Yeah.
And then somehow salvages something of himself.
How do you cope with that as an actor? Because there's an awful lot of screaming, shouting, falling over, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, you just throw yourself at it and you trust that the director, in this case you, will say, no, do it again, but more like this, which of course you do. You'll say, do it louder, faster, shorter, harder, whatever your instruction might be. And we do our best to oblige our Lord and Master.
But there is a specific way you like it, though, isn't there?
Would you like to rephrase that?
No, we won't go into that. Yeah, the nothingness is really, really scary. And as a motivator for getting him to actually confess, brilliant device.
Yeah. It's a very frightening idea that you only create your world if you can imagine it hard enough.
Yeah, it's kind of sophisticated sensory deprivation, isn't it?
Yeah. It's very scary.
Yeah.
And you wrote this, didn't you?
Yeah.
I'm a bit worried.
More than a bit.
Ramon's had to go to hospital. Yeah, well, I just thought of the most appalling thing you could imagine being just cut off.
Yeah.
When you hear stories about people who can't see or hear, and you just think, what kind of existence would you get from that?
Yes.
It's like the most ultimate torture that you've
Especially
created.
if he's got the kind of, if number 6 has the kind of mind which you've established he does, the kind of mind where he has a detailed knowledge of the spatial reality of his world. Say 11 paces here, 9 paces, and then turn left down the alleyway, and so on and so forth. Yes, suddenly to have nothing is incredibly unsettling.
And the idea is that they're using that detailed knowledge to convert it into a sort of... It's a bit like I Love Big Brother at the end of 1984.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's that idea that he's... because it's
that's
all...
exactly it. So that's... Because I remember that... brilliant. That's exactly what it is.
No, it doesn't sound so original.
But Winston Smith is being completely broken at the end.
If you were asked to recreate the doom that is Winston Smith's, I can't think of a better example.
I've gone. This is it. You can't save me.
This is it.
Give me your hand.
No. Goodbye.
No.
So, Sarah, this is your last episode, isn't it? You appear to die.
Say, that isn't
I like
so.
that. Appear to die.
Appear to die. Come on.
I don't believe
could
it.
I not, resubstantiate? What's
This
the word?
is a world of clones. This is.
I could reconfigurate. What's the word?
Reanimate?
What's the scientific? Reanimate.
Yeah.
I could come back. Come on.
I don't think she's gone. I don't believe it.
I can't believe it in my heart.
Number
It would be
2
heartbreaking.
Has the power to number 2's gone. He always goes.
Number two's always,
Number 2's always been an atmosphere. No, I want to come back. I've had a great time doing this. It's great fun. And she's a lovely character. And, anything can happen. Surely it's The Prisoner.
Yes. I certainly have made no decisions. I mean, I don't even know if there's going to be another box set, but fingers crossed that someone buys it.
Yes.
And in your little room, in your little office, in that fantastic imagination of yours, number 9 will just pop up.
Yes.
Demand to be put into another story.
Number 9 could come back as number 2.
Something I was interested in is having her be the one, because this never happens in the original series, that he is about to confess his reasons for resigning, and she is the one who she actually stops him. Always in the series on television, he always had that last little reserve where he suddenly realised.
It's in him, but this time she's the
No,
one
it's
who's-
lovely that I loved that. I really liked that she was the one who took him down. She starts capping people towards She seems so nice. And 2 people within a matter of pages.
I'm quite keen for people to think that she's actually killed number 6, because people think, well, maybe they're only going to do one, and it's, there is that feeling with The Prisoner that it's quite dangerous, and you could do anything in it.
Well, you've changed so many things in this version anyway. I mean, there's a heavy suggestion that there's some sort of physical intimacy between 6 and 9, which there was no sniff of that in the original show.
No, that was because it was the 60s.
No, but it was also because McGowan famously wouldn't kiss
Bond.
anyone except his wife.
That's right. Yeah. And that's why he turned down James Bond.
Wouldn't fire a gun. Wouldn't kiss a.
Oh right, he wouldn't fire a gun.
Well, apparently not. I mean, there's a whole episode of The Prisoner where he's the sheriff of the Western town, but he won't use the gun. Isn't there?
That's right.
Yes.
I just remember.
I'm just trying to think whether in Danger Man he ever fired a gun.
I don't know.
I've been watching some Danger Man, which is the series that came before this.
Yeah.
And it is all about his ingenuity.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever does.
Fire the gun.
Well, that's always been my understanding. I'm no student of Danger Man, but
I'm becoming one. That's how sad I am.
Get me number 9.
You must remain in your home.
Helen, what about all the differences between your various incarnations of the clone?
Well, yes, I mean, I do have an overriding direction from yourself to be relentlessly cheerful.
Yes.
And you are.
And I am, on stage and off. But yes, I'm trying to vary them according to the different tasks that they have. So one is more businesslike, one is more kind of caring, one is completely superficial. So I am versatile in this role, even though I'm using the same voice.
But that's the interesting thing, because some of them are just going to sound like different people, even though you don't have the pressure of having to create a different voice for them. So well done is what I'm saying.
Thank you.
Yeah, no.
Thanks, Helen. Do come
Pleasure.
again next time, won't
Thanks.
you?
Don't kill me off. You can't kill me off.
You are Legion. They can't kill you.
It's just going to be you, isn't it?
Yes. Oh,
last
please
one
let me
left.
be number 2.
Just a whole series of reacting from Village Voice to Operations Controller. Yes. Talking robot conversation. Yeah.
That's right.
Anything from anyone to add?
No, it's just been great fun.
Fantastic.
Great scripts and great fun.
And it happened to happen on the same day that West Ham went to Arsenal and won 2-0.
Don't rub it in.
Not like we haven't been hearing about that in little reports from Leon, the sound engineer. No.
Yeah. We want joy. Think 2-0. Yeah.
Where am I?
In the village.
What do you want?
Information.
Whose side are you on?
That will be telling. We want information. Information. Information.
You won't get it.
By hook or by crook, we will.
Who are you?
I am number 2. The new number 2.
Who is number 1?
You are number 6.
I am not a number. I am a free man.
It's Sunday the 30th of August, and this is the morning of the last day of recording for the Prisoner audio series.
Do we have a male nurse and a female nurse, or is it two female nurses? Just her. She's a clone. I think we'll put her in the booth because she's doing the village voice as well. Fine. In the booth.
Get in the box.
Get a box. It's very early in the morning, about an hour before I set off for the studio. And I have many mixed emotions. What can I say? The first thing is that this script was finished only 2 weeks before the recording, which is quite close, really. In many ways, The Chimes of Big Ben is my favourite Prisoner episode because it's the first one I saw. I missed in 1977. I missed Arrival. Didn't see that for the first time until the repeat season in the 1980s.
Of course, nurse. What are you... Oh!
Very nice. We'll do just one more. I think, Mark, you can come in and demand more.
Well, more insistent. Fine.
Yes, it's, where is she?
Yes.
And just something about the tablet line, the whole business about tablets are for swallowing in your mind,
Yes.
I don't know quite how you get that across, just bear it in mind.
But let's find out, shall we?
I think that's what I keep saying. I don't know how we'll get that across, but just think it. Helen, that's all lovely. Well done. All the switching between, cross-fading between yourselves. Excellent. And it's really sounding great in the edits, by the way. The madness of the village voice and number 6 sounds superb. I'll play you a trailer later. There's a sense of relief that it's all going to be in the can and the full process of getting it all finished can come about, even though, over the last few weeks I've been listening to edits of episode 1 and just recently the first section of episode 2, so it's all going very well with Ian Meadows doing that for us. And Jamie Robertson coming up with his theme, which I've used on a test version of a trailer, which hasn't yet been finalised. I suddenly realised that I'll really miss Sarah Powell today, who played number 9 for the first 3 episodes. I killed her off, or did I? Who knows? We'll see what happens if and when we do a Volume 2 box set.
You don't. Perfect. There we are.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so it'll just be...
Brilliant.
It'd be nice to have Barnaby back. He's playing Danvers, of course, and the butler and the shopkeeper. So yeah, that'll be lovely to see Barney again because he's an old friend of mine, and of course the lead Dalek operator in Doctor Who. So he and I spend a lot of time together in Cardiff. And of course Barnaby works for Big Finish as a director and actor generally.
First I get nurses who nearly break my arm and then knock me out. Now it's a dwarf butler with an iron grip. I get the point. Oh! Thank you. Be seeing you.
Very nice. And never mind, just let me through. I think we need that sense that you're going in at that point and he stops you.
Okay.
There's one thing that is a bit unsatisfactory, but we have to go with it because it's in the original script for The Chimes of Big Ben, which is the whole business of Nadia flicking water onto the floor of the cell, and the floor is electrified, and when the current comes on, the water goes That's scientifically inaccurate. That would not happen to water where a current passed through it. I am told by my script editor, who has many scientist friends. So he tells me, maybe just has one scientist friend, I don't know, or maybe... No, actually, he's a scientist, isn't he? That's right, yeah, he studied all that sort of stuff. So I said, well, please get another solution for me. Literally a solution that she could flick onto the floor that would fizz. All he came up with was powder, some sort of powder, which kind of just stretches credibility a bit, even though, of course, credibility is being stretched beyond its limits by the water going fizz. And so, you know, I got an email from him this morning. I said, please send me a solution. And this morning I got an email admitting defeat on it. So we're going with the original episode's scientific inaccuracy. I'm wondering how many people will point that out. I haven't noticed anyone ever pointing it out about the original, so I'm placing my bets on nobody worrying about it at all. Isn't it strange, the things that preoccupy you? Barnaby.
Hello, Nick.
Explain the science of the water thing.
It's very simple. There are two sheets of metal mesh on the floor of the cell, and if you put any pressure on, those two metal sheets come together and create an electric pulse which electrocutes the person standing on it. Or if a tiny droplet of water comes between the top mesh and the bottom mesh, that creates a connection, and that's why it fizzes. That's the excuse.
Brilliant explanation, I think you meant to say.
Oh, explanation. Yes, sorry. We'll just edit that bit in.
I love you, Barnaby Edwards, because my script editor couldn't cut. He said, that's scientifically inaccurate. I said, well, come up with something that's scientifically accurate for me. And this morning I got an email saying, oh, I can't.
We'll probably find out mine isn't scientifically accurate now.
Christina, who is playing Nadia, is, to my knowledge and research, the only Lithuanian actress in the British Actors Directory spotlight. So I did audition her, and she did a fine job. And she has the weighty responsibility of saying a few lines in Lithuanian. And the joke could be on us, because we won't know what she's saying. We can only rely on her actually saying what we need her to say. I wanted a genuine Lithuanian person to be in it, and you were able to help us with speaking your language.
Yeah, I tried.
I thought you were rather good at it, funnily enough.
Oh, in Lithuania, thank you very much.
Well, not that I'd know. As I made the joke that we didn't know what you were really saying. You can assure us.
Well, you still don't know.
So I hope we, get on with her in case she just decides to drop a couple of depth charges into our production by saying perhaps inappropriate things. I'm just imagining all sorts of problems I'm sure won't happen. I mean, I did say to her in the audition, I'm trusting you to say, the right thing. She was very sincere. Said, oh, no, I am saying the right thing, Of course she is. But you never know, do you? You never know. So you did quite a bit of research for doing this role, didn't you?
Well, I tried, yes. I got really, really excited when I got... Well, first, when I got an audition for this, then I was like, okay, I have to be the best. So I researched. I watched the American TV series, the English TV series. I read about it. So I came in really prepared. And here I am now, yeah.
So you know all about The Prisoner now? You've seen it all?
Kind of.
And what did you... so you saw the original episode that this is sort of based on?
Yeah.
So what do you think are the main differences between the two, do you reckon?
There are some differences, but I really love them. When I was reading the script now, I thought oh, that is different. Oh, this is different. But it didn't make... it made me really... I was excited about them, I really liked every single bit because everything made sense and everything was it's a beautiful writing. I really love that.
Oh, please, no.
No, it is.
No, more. No,
more. Okay, more.
Bless you. You've never done a Big Finish before.
Well, I thought it was a great experience for me, really, because I haven't done much of the voice work neither, a bit, not much. So when I got cast for this production and I saw the names and everything, and I was like, oh my god, really, this is happening? How? What's happening? I'm blessed or something. And when I just walked in,
every single person was so friendly, like I felt so welcome, and that was amazing. Like straight away you can relax and do your best then.
I'm liking your research, thank you.
No, because I really didn't know how it's supposed to be done, because the breathing is that is, and then you start breathing out still while you're not in the water, and then you breathe out 3 times, and then you finish your breathing out there again, like, and then again the same. But then you need the sound of the splash and bubble.
The splashes we can put in later.
Yeah. Okay.
But you're all right doing some bubbling in a glass?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, let's see how it works.
That's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
They're getting you a towel so that you're not actually going to cover yourself in water.
Okay.
Last week, no, the last episode, not last weekend, it was a while ago, a couple of weeks, I don't know, when was it? Who knows? That was the shortest episode. And also it was very focused on a small number of characters, so it was much quicker to do, so we had a huge luxury of time, and it has to be said that we did do a lot of chatting and we had a couple of tea breaks and enjoyed ourselves. Today is another big episode, not quite as long as the first episode, but comparably long. And we won't have time for that. We'll have to go hell for leather. Basically, as it is scheduled, it runs for the day in the studio an hour and a half too long, and I can't overrun by an hour and a half. I can't overrun by a minute. So I will have to get an hour and a half ahead of my schedule pretty early on to save myself from some sort of heart attack. So luckily I've got a really reliable cast. Michael Cochrane coming in, you know, I've worked with him many times before, and I knew I wanted him to be a number 2, and I think he's going to be superb. Just your ooh at the end, with your dizziness.
Yes.
Could it just have more of an uncertain quality to it? Otherwise it sounds a little bit leg rubbing, you know.
Well.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh. And he's ooh. You know. So.
Ooh.
I think I may have just made it worse.
Oh, chuckles warmly. I think I'm almost there, darling. Right. So more dizzy, less humping.
Basically.
Okie dokie.
Also, Michael Cochrane is amazing. I'd just like to say that.
He's just over there.
I know.
Shall I go and talk to him?
Yeah, make sure he's got his trousers on.
Yeah, what is it about you and your trousers, Michael?
Well, apparently they were louder than my voice at one of the recordings I did with you.
That's true.
And I was forced to take my trousers off so that I could...
you volunteered.
I volunteered to take my trousers off. Well,
So, had you had any experience of The Prisoner before this? Had you seen it?
Oh, only saw it, well, back in the 60s. Yeah, I saw it then because it came after Danger Man, and of course we're all huge fans of Patrick McGowan. And when he moved on from Danger Man, we were very excited about it, and then after the first episode, thought, what is going on? Why isn't he Danger Man? But then, of course, inexorably we got drawn into it, and by the end, of course, it became, a must-see evening of television.
Do you remember the fact that the ending frustrated everyone and people were very cross that it didn't make any sense? Do you know?
Well, I didn't mind that. I quite liked it because that was on my reports as a child quite a lot. This boy doesn't make any sense at all. I got used to it. So, it was rather nice for me because I understood every second of it.
And what about number 2, your version of number 2 here?
Yes.
How did you approach that?
With gusto. And, seriously, it was all written. It was down there in black and white, and really the actor, whoever it had been, wouldn't have had to do very much because it's all there.
Well, you took all the hints in the script, and you added a certain level of, what can we say?
Lasciviousness?
Oh, well, you used the word.
You wouldn't, of course.
No.
Well, it's quite a sexy story, really, of a old man looking at a young girl putting her toes into the seaside. What could be nicer?
And then I've got Barnaby and Helen. Well, they're brilliant and never put a foot wrong. So this is going to be, Yeah, exciting. Barnaby's been in touch to ask if he could say the Lithuanian for okay at one point, which is fine. I'm sure Christina will help him with that. He also wants some audio reference of his portrayal of Danvers and the shopkeeper, which I have with me, of course, so you can have a listen to those. So who have you been playing today, Barnaby?
Half the village, and several people outside the village, and one person in London. I've been the village shopkeeper, who's one of my favourite characters, and who was judging the art competition. And I've also been Danvers, who's a character who appears in the first episode, so it's a nice kind of bracketing thing. And I've done Carol as well, who is a Lithuanian. I was greatly helped out by our beautiful Lithuanian who is here today, helping me. It's been a lot of fun. I like the fact that you've kept the cast size quite small, so that the village has these kind of echoes of different characters. You can sort of, I like the fact that it gets more and more claustrophobic as the adventure goes on. So I think that's it's obviously a financial consideration, but it's an artistic consideration as well, and it works really, really well.
Helen, it's a pleasure to have you here. Any particular observations or anything interesting that happened today?
I met a Lithuanian for the first time. Hi, Christina, which was really good fun. And the accent is not as I would have done it. I would have done it in a terrible cod Russian accent. So it's fascinating to hear what a real Lithuanian accent is. I would never recognise that. So yes, and lovely Michael Cochrane, who's been jolly good fun and good company, and marvellous, of course, needless to say. And yeah, the usual jolly fun has been had by all.
And if the prisoner comes back, then you'll be coming back, won't you?
I hope so. Yeah. Will I?
Goodness, yes.
You're not going to recast me? No. Someone more bonkers than me?
There isn't anyone.
That's very comforting to know. No, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm hoping we're going to be invited to the prisoner convention at Portmeirion as well. That all sounds very intriguing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can but hope.
Yes, fingers crossed.
And you're always very comforting as well. Thank you. She never believes anything I say. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I just wanted to reflect on Mark's performance, Mark Elstob, as number 6, and I've been listening to episodes 1 and 2, as I said, and I think he's done a fantastic job. I think people will be blown away, slightly disturbed by what he's doing, because there is a definite nod to Patrick McGoohan in the vocal quality. I think the performance is more emotional, slightly more vulnerable. I think the thing, he seems, in the TV series, he seems largely completely invulnerable. And I think you can do that visually because you've got the contact point of the little expressions that cross his face, which betray more than the hard exterior that number 6 is always seeking to portray. And on audio, I think there need to be those moments where you have to hear that. I think if he was as determined to present that, as successful at presenting that sort of strength on audio as the character was visually, then I think we would have nothing to hold on to for him as a protagonist. So I think I've consciously given him those moments in the script and also, in the performance. Mark has found a lot of them himself. And so that will be a change from the original. And I suppose that makes me a bit nervous about, all those people, who adore the original, as I do, finding that a little difficult. And I think a lot of people will struggle with it being sort of slightly unfaithful to the original, but I think a lot of the changes I've done are not to do with reimagining it for any conceptual reason, but just from the point of view that it is audio and some things work better on audio. It gives you a whole different raft of things you can do. But I guess, I try not to second guess what audiences will think, because I think that, you can drive yourself bonkers doing that. You just have to write it and do it and direct it in a way that you think is right and that the cast think is right, and hope for the best, really. Now, this is it. This is the end of the series, at least for now. What are your thoughts at the end of it all?
Well, I long to hear the thing and see how it all shapes up. I'm fantastically interested to see the finished product, to hear rather the finished product, and obviously it'd be fantastic if we were able to do more. But I guess we'll have to wait and see about that.